For Americans that want to compare communism and capitalism, I want to give you some glimpse on how it was in Soviet Union and right now in Russian Federation. Do I remember millions of dead people, millions of, I don't know, people who was sent to prison and then executed? No, I do not remember that. Instead, I remember that steadily and comfortably standard of living during the 1970s was on the rise in Soviet Union. It was developing higher and higher. Many products was created. I saw the rise of medicine. It was almost the best in the world. I saw the rise of education. It was the best in the world. Science thrive, production thrive. There was many different sorts of products on the shelves of shops, of grocery shops, and that is what I remember. That is what I remember when I think about Soviet Union. Once ruling elite of Soviet Union declared the transfer to capitalism or declared perestroika, since then I see food shortages. People lost their jobs in tens of millions. After collapse of Soviet Union, the whole industries was destroyed, science in decline, education is shit, medicine is very bad, in bad shape. Thousands of companies was closed and nothing was open to take their place. 10 million, to be exact, 12 million people counted as loss that during the rise of alcoholism, criminal, during the loss of the jobs during the 90s, that 12 million people, country, Russian Federation, lost as dead just because of the transfer of capitalism. Since then, Russian Federation do not recover. And 12 millions is only when we count the Russian Federation. Don't forget about every former Soviet republic. And situation there even worse. Ukraine, Kazakhstan, Uzbekistan, Tajikistan, Georgia, Armenia, etc. The situation way worse even now. 35 years later, none of the countries recover. Mass immigration is continuing to go on from those countries. Not very brighter situation in former Soviet bloc republics such as Hungary, Romania, who else can be counted here? I don't know, Bulgaria maybe. In some of former Soviet bloc republic of Warsaw Pact republics, many countries still in decline. Not to mention that Yugoslavia is not exist anymore and pretty much is the place for war. So when you're trying to compare that communist regime was awful and Stalin killed people just for fun, based on one book of one person, to be exact, to base your assumptions on Alexander Solzhenitsyn's book and only on this book, and something that played around this book and support this book. And you saying that capitalism is the best way to go, well, let me compare this. During the period since World War II, population of Soviet Union constantly was on the rise. Since capitalism was made a national idea in Russian Federation to be in particular, and to be fair in whole Soviet Union altogether, population steadily either in decline or staying the same. Also thanks to emigration, because many people from former Soviet republics right now immigrate to Russia to find a job, to find a decent salary, etc. To run away from tyrannical regimes, for example. It's all happening not under communism, not under socialist or communist party. This all happens in capitalistic countries right now. None of them recovered since 1991. Economically, politically, how it said, well, in population way, I guess, in number of citizens. Russian Federation have decline of population, even though there are millions of immigrants from the former Soviet republics. This whole is achievement of capitalism. This is not achievement of deadly communism or, I don't know, socialists who don't want to work and only take our jobs. No. You are brainwashed by your government. You brainwashed to the point where you think that lie is a truth and truth is a lie. You think that because of your country is robbing the whole world, literally robbing. It's not some metaphor, it's literally. Your bases occupied half of the world. Your military bases, there is 800 of them, if I'm correct. 800 military bases all over the world. Even if it was for each country in the world, there will be 4 military bases in each country of the world. Of course, it's not the case. And yet, you occupied whole world. And you simply pumping up resources from the countries like Russian Federation, for example, because all trade of oil happens to be going on in dollars, and you get the fair share and cut from this trade. You can, let's not talk about this, but this situation is simply ending. And it's not in defense of socialism or communism. That's not the point of this whole monologue. No. The point is for you to understand when you're saying that capitalism is the only way that it raised millions of people from poverty, etc., etc. So what? Socialism does the same. Even, to be fair, Communist Party of China raised from poverty a billion people in one country. In the same time, capitalistic India do not raise from poverty billion of their own people. Billion of people or something along those lines still live in poverty in Africa. How many hundreds of millions of people in Latin America live in poor conditions until this day. They all capitalistic countries. The point is not that socialism is in some way or shape is good and capitalism is absolute evil or something along those lines. No. You got the picture wrong. That's what the point. You live in an Orwellian today. You believe in that war is peace and peace is war. You believe that truth is lie and lie is truth. You believe in propaganda that government, rich people, corporations create for you to believe in. That's what's your problem. That is what's your problem. Even not perfect. Soviet Union was better times, many times better than this shitty country that called right now Russian Federation, that in whole way are capitalistic, and capitalistic United or capitalistic China is not a good place to live, even though Communist Party of China raised billion people from poverty. But also capitalistic system could not go on forever like this. And the moment of payback is close right now. To United States, to China, to Russian Federation, to Europe. It's time, there is time to pay back the debt that we took. We all took because we also the part of current humanity. Stop believe propaganda. Stop believe illogical things only because you think that it is normal to kill people for no reason or to make people fear, as United States do always. And therefore American citizens is pretty much easy to believe that someone is ready to do such things as kill millions just so other people to be afraid of them. Not everyone acts like Americans. You believe in illogical things. You believe in your fears. You feed in your fears. And your government propaganda is feeding your fears. They feeding you your fears. You are the problem of your country. Citizens of the country that ready to die for interest of rich people, corporations, government, politics, etc. You are ready to die defending them in attempt to keep the things going as it is right now. Maybe it will not stop. You simply don't want changes. You occupied whole world and you want the things stay the same. You want to be the beneficiary of this occupation. That's not how it's going to be in the future. This current system is can't sustain itself anymore. That is what the problem. So what I want to say in the end is stop believe in lies, stop believe in ideas that based on nothing but fears, that based on nothing but lies, that based on nothing but propaganda. Soviet Union was in many times better country than USA could ever be, and never was before. USA never was a country as good as Soviet Union. In Soviet Union there was nothing of that is promoted by Solzhenitsyn and his book of lies, let's say. That was promoted by American propaganda. Think about why. Why Barack Obama and Alexander Solzhenitsyn get the Nobel Prizes? Just because they are great people and good people and something along those lines? And it have nothing politically based behind it? Are you sure? During the Cold War, guy gets the Nobel Prize from Western capitalistic world in support of his book. It's not because he tells the truth, it's because he created the book that fits the current Western propaganda against truly democratic regime, or should I say style of living. Because capitalism, it's not about democracy at all, and people are expendable in capitalism. They simply tools. So, once again, stop believe in your propaganda. Stop believing you are well today. Truth isn't a lie, and lie isn't a truth.